Welcome back to Geese Reads and Food for Thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hey guys, welcome back to this virtual book club. This is the second month I've been doing this, and this month's book genre is historical fiction. This week, I decided to do a series instead of doing just one book for the week, and that's the Scholastic's I Survived series. With over 17 books to collect, this series covers some of the major disasters and events throughout history that has happened. I can't wait to hear which books of the series you guys have read, so let me know on my Facebook group page at Geese Reads and Food for Thought, or my Facebook and Instagram at Balls for College. If you haven't read any of the books yet, that's cool because there are many to choose from. Some of the events that this series covers is the sinking of the Titanic, which is the one I'll be talking about, the shark attacks of 1916, and the Revolutionary War. If you're not a big reader, there are a few graphic novel versions of this series, and it'll be a good start to start liking to read and see that it's not such a big deal. The Titanic sunk on April 15, 1912. The short story, I Survived the Sinking of the Titanic, 1912, is about a 10-year-old boy named George and how he was on the Titanic with his younger sister and his auntie. For them, it was full of fun and games, and to them, it was pretty much a floating palace of amazingness. But that all changed when George was hanging onto a guardrail for his life while the Titanic was sinking on the Atlantic Ocean. This series is great for kids from 1st to 3rd grade, since not only is it an engaging story that's easy to read, but you also get to get the simple idea of what the event was like, because the hard thing about history when you're younger is that it's told through like adult's point of view or more of like a textbook, but these stories are actually through a kid's point of view, so you can actually kind of relate on how it might have been living during that time of the event. It may also help some older kids get some basic test prep and also some basic facts on the event. You can find this best-selling Scholastic series anywhere from your local library to online and even your own classroom. To get your own copy, use the link in the description below. And now let's learn about some basic facts about the Titanic. The Titanic was an ocean liner, not a cruise ship like most people thought, including me, because it was much smaller. It was said to be unsinkable since there were 16 large watertight compartments at the bottom of the ship, so even if the Titanic had gotten a hole in the boat, there would be no way that the ship would be able to sink, just as long as only 4 of these compartments were filled. It was also said the build and the rivets of the ship were extremely strong, but on the contrary, they were actually very weak. Even though a message had been sent to the Titanic from another ship, letting them know to stay out in open sea till morning because there was lots of ice, the ship had kept on going, and while the ship was steaming along, one of the watchmen saw that an iceberg was looming up ahead, and the captain was notified, and the ship suddenly turned left, but it still sideswiped the iceberg. The Titanic's compartments started to fill. At least 5 of them were filled, and most of them had actually sprung a leak, and the watertight compartment was watertight no more. Water sloshed through the hallways as people hurried to go onto the lifeboats and survive and get off this ship. And while they looked back, the ship that was deemed unsinkable was sinking to the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The story of the Titanic is very well known, and the way that the I Survived story of it is written through the eyes of a kid, it seems that it's very real, at least to me. But it is based on true facts, so I think that does help with it. This tale is so big that movies and several documentaries were inspired by it. It is time for the food for thought. This month's food for thought is then versus now. The Titanic influenced quite a few things on how ships were built and other things. In 1912, the Titanic was thought to be unsinkable and very strong, but turned out it wasn't. For its time, the rivets and the build was very strong, but in contrary, it was actually very weak, and which is one of the reasons why the ship did not withstand the blow of the iceberg itself. After the disaster, engineers started looking for more ways to make the ship stronger and more durable, and it also showed people that things do sink, especially a 52,000 ton of metal. One reason why there were not as many survivors of the Titanic as it shows in the I Survived story is that a lot of people didn't take it seriously and just thought it was no big deal when even though water was sloshing through the hallways, no one thought the ship would sink, which of course it did. Another big reason why not as many people survived the Titanic was because there were not enough lifeboats for the passengers and the lifeboats were only partially filled. And that greatly affected on how, when you go on a cruise ship, how it is now. They make sure that there's enough lifeboats for all of the passengers, and they go through very big safety precautions while on the ship. Ships are not only built stronger, but they also have better communication and navigational systems to help the captain and the crew stay away from things like icebergs and any other obstacles that may bring damage to the ship, as well as making sure that they can communicate with other ships to avoid collisions and other things. Another big way that we can see how boats are differently used from then of the 1912 and now in 2020 is that back then boats and trains were the two most efficient ways to get around. But even trains cannot travel across oceans. However, now we have airplanes and even cars that are more efficient. Now ships are mainly used for bringing out cargo to different places, using maybe as a vacation such as cruise ships and for fishing. The Titanic shows us that our human history is a work in progress. Back then they thought they had the most advanced technology and nothing could get better. Even today we think that we have the highest technology, but who knows that maybe even 10, 20 years even, maybe things will be different, more technologically advanced. The Titanic shows that we're always a work in progress and we always need to take precautions and keep on moving forward. I hope you guys were able to read some of the I Survived series, and if you haven't, use the link in the description below, or if you want to get more books and expand your collection. Let me know your favorites and other historical fiction stories on my Facebook group page at Geese Reads and Food for Thought, or my Facebook and Instagram at Balls for College. The links will be in the description below. And as always, keep on reading. I'll see you guys next time.